Alright, so this isn't really junk I'm saving, but this is the tow vehicle or vehicle that I use for picking up the junk that I get on my videos. And I figured I'd just show a little update that I've done on it. So this is a '08 Toyota Tacoma base model. When I mean base, it's got manual locks, manual windows. It had no cruise control, but I managed to get that installed today or last night, and this is a follow-up video. There's no real good forums on whether or not your car has cruise control wired or not. You kind of just have to get in there and look. So on my '08, it didn't come wired at all. I bought the cruise control switch right here, and then I bought the OEM Toyota 3-prong wiring, which I might take a video of and show and insert here. But I mean, literally I just took off the steering wheel and I figured that out. And then I went to a junkyard for pick and pull. Oh, and I don't have it with me, but essentially I got a whole bunch of wires right here that I have basically torn apart and pre-ran for the cruise control module. So basically, to sum it up, you have to, on certain models, if it's pre-wired, you'll notice on the pin underneath the steering wheel, it's the one that goes into the airbag clock spring, you'll notice that there will be multiple wires going into it. On the ones that aren't wired, it will be a single wire into it. And in order to add cruise control, you have to add a total of 3 wires. 2 wires from the steering wheel column or the airbag clock spring down to the harness, and one into the ECU, another one to a ground, which I just did a ground that's near the column. And then you need to add a third one that goes to the dashboard. Zoom in on it. Up there. So essentially it's you either have to do the wiring, or you have to do literally just plug the sensor or plug the cruise control switch in and it should be set. So what I'm going to show you is what I did, and I basically found this cruise control installation guide for an '09 to '13 Tacoma, which is the, where's the part number? It's basically the Rosto's kit. That's the part number right there. And then I took it and I went through and I found, okay, well, here's the 9011 cruise control harness. You can see I had to go from pin 24 to the ECU, which that's the 13 model. So here's the ECU. You can see the green wire is the cruise indicator. So I went from the C24 in the cruise control or in the cluster to E7. And I had to figure out which pin it goes to, because so this is for what they say is the 2TRE 4-cylinder engine harness right here. But my harness is actually this exact same one with these E7. So I went to a forum that had 05 to 08 service manual for it, and I found that there was a bunch of different wiring harnesses, and you can see where I left off was I finished with the cruise control, the cluster, instrument cluster to the ECU connection. So you can see it says C924 to PI E7-18. So I just had to basically work backwards from knowing this is the service manual for the 05 to 08, and this is the 09 to 12, and then it has like 13 up here, which I think is going to be similar. I think actually after that they all came with cruise control. So this should cover everything. Basically for what I did was pin 18, which is the cruise control light for the 2TRFE. That is my going to my cluster. And then I have pin, I think it was pin, so pin 18 is my cluster. I'm trying to remember back. Oh, and then pin 2 is my going from the column or the airbag control module down to the ECU goes to pin 2, which is the positive side. And then the ground just goes and connects to ground. And those are the 3 wires you have to do. And I will link this harness, and I will try to see if I can actually link this service manual I found in the video to kind of help you walk through it. Because it goes through, like, it's essentially troubleshooting your cruise control module for failure, but instead of doing that, I was just looking at the points of where the cruise control comes in contact with, and then I could add in that if it was needed. So for manual transmission ones, you have to add in the clutch switch because they don't come with that from the factory, which is behind the fuse box. But this part number here, or this manual here, goes through it and talks about it. So it should cover everything, and I mean, it works. I haven't actually taken it on a road trip yet, but the goal is to put everything back together and then finish it up. So I spoke earlier, sorry, I'm trying to get this set up right. So I spoke earlier about the 3 wires going from the cruise circuit down to the ECU. Well, actually, it's 2 wires going to the ECU, 1 going to the ground. And as you can see, so the cruise control stock has 2 wires coming out of it. And so depending on what you do, so whether you turn it on, set, or resume, or up and down, the ECU is basically just looking for a voltage. And so when you turn it on, it sees a 12-volt signal. When you hit set, it sends a 6-volt signal, and when you hit resume, it sends a 3-volt signal down to the ECU. And that's why you have a positive, a black and a red connection here. And if you can look in there, you can see 3 prongs. Well, one's the ground for the horn, and then 2 are the positive and negative for the cruise control stock. And basically, if you take the steering wheel off, which is a 19mm nut, there's a Mighty Car Mods video back 7 or 8 years ago that they posted. It's basically how to install an aftermarket steering wheel, and that's essentially what you're doing here, but you're just taking it off and putting on a new one. So that'll be a helpful little guide. I can try to link that one in the video. But down in here, once you have the steering wheel removed and this plastic shrouding off of it, you can see the actual connector that they call, the link I'll have should say S8 connector. And that's down here. And on mine it had 1 wire. Now it has 3 total in it. 1 for what be like an airbag connection or something like that. And then the other 2 I added for the ground circuit and the positive 12-volt. And then I had the 1 connector coming out of my binnacle instrument cluster, which is on C24, I think it was. It's a C9 is the terminal name for this. And then it was pin 24 I added it on. And there's a diagram in that worksheet, and there's a diagram on the typical, or the shop manual. I would recommend, if you're doing any electrical work on Tacomas or any vehicle in general, have a wiring diagram handy, because they're so helpful to be able to troubleshoot and figure things out and know if you can or can't add it. So, but essentially I just added the 2 wires. Like, I keep repeating myself, but all the forums made it sound so much more complicated than it was, because I believe this is the stock clock spring is what it looks like. I added this brown wire right here. I added this cruise control stock, and then I added the 3 wires that go 2 to go to the ECU and 1 for the ground. That's all I changed to add cruise control. I just, well, pinned it in and then plugged it in the ECU and then finished it up, and well, the cruise control light turns on, which tells me that the ECU is receiving the signal from the cruise control stock. So we'll see how well it goes, and I'll probably post a video of it working. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put everything together and then have that. Well, a little shaky hands, I'm sorry. It's holding, my foot's off the gas, disconnected with the brake, and I'm not gonna be able to hit this again, but you can see cruise control is, and it does function. Just put the steering wheel back wrong, but I'll fix that in a second. Yep, cruise control's on. Foot's off the pedal. Sorry for the bad light. And it's holding. Oh man, that's cool. Can I accelerate? Yep. It's accelerating. Take it off, and it stops. So, that is success. Just by adding 3 wires to the harness, and it's fixed. Oh man, that's amazing. So, well, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed the little just summary of what I've done with this Tacoma to figure out how to get cruise control added to it. Enjoyed everyone's comments on the videos, and just I hope that you guys were able to learn something from this, and that you were able to see that you can add cruise control no matter what to your truck, especially your Tacomas. I think it's the same throughout the years. So, yeah, that's awesome. So, thank you for joining me, and thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. We will talk another day, or let you guys join another day when we're fixing another project. So, alright, adios.